Hello guys, with you is Ayman in a new video. In this video we will talk about the ancient and beautiful history of Morocco, which will be through the parts in which Morocco is located, and the kingdoms that ruled Morocco. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay with the video.
The Almohad movement was founded by Ibn Tumart, a member of the Moroccan Masbouda tribe, in the Timol region near the city of Marrakesh. The movement was called the Almohads because the followers of this school called for absolute monotheism in God, which made them deny the beautiful names of God and consider them names for material attributes. And He is the truth, the Almighty, there is nothing like Him, so they mentioned God by His unique name, Allah. Muhammad ibn Tumart 1080–1130 AD, and after him Abd al-Mumin ibn Ali al-Kumi, from whom the princes of the Almohads descend, led followers of a strict religious movement, and called for purify the faith from impurities. In 1118 AD, Ibn Tumart launched the call to fight the Almoravids and made the Timol castle in the high Atlas Mountains his headquarters. His successor, Abd al-Mumin al-Kumi 1133–1163 called al-Kumi because he descended from the Kuma tribe in Tlemcen, was able to control the farthest reaches of central Morocco, where he entered Marrakesh in 1146 AD and eliminated the Almoravids. He then controlled all of Africa, including Tunisia and Libya in 1160 AD and Andalusia 1146–1154 AD. After Abd al-Mumin ibn Ali al-Kumi succeeded in establishing his state in Africa, he headed to Andalusia and worked to strengthen it and repel the attacks of the Castilians. However, he died in 1163 AD and was succeeded by his son Yusuf, who continued his father's policy and consolidated his influence in Andalusia, sent armies there and strengthened its emirates. Caliph Yusuf ibn Abd al-Mumin carried out projects in Seville, such as building a bridge over the Guadalquivir River and the Great Mosque of Seville in 567 I. 1172 AD. His son Al-Mansur completed his great minaret in 1188 AD, which still stands and is known as the Giralda, and is 96 meters high. During one of his conquests of Andalusia in 579 I. 1183 AD, he was wounded by an arrow on the walls of Santarem, and returned to Marrakesh wounded, where he died. The state reached its peak during the reign of Abu Yaqub Yusuf ibn Abd al-Mumin ibn Ali al-Kumi 1163–1184 AD and then Abu Yusuf Yaqub al-Mansur 1184–1199 AD, who was given the title al-Mansur and worked to advance the Almohad State and Andalusia scientifically and culturally. He was a skilled leader and an able politician who was able to make peace with the Kingdom of Castile, but their breach of the peace forced him to fight them in the Battle of Al-Arzos. While building many new cities and encouraging culture and intellectual life, Ibn Rushd, Ibn Tufail. After that, the Battle of Al-Arzos took place in 1195 AD, in which the Almohads were victorious over the Christian kings. During the reign of Al-Nasir 1199–1213 AD, many revolutions in Africa were suppressed. After the Battle of Alarc, a truce was concluded between the King of Castile, Alfonso VIII, and the Muslims. However, Alfonso took advantage of the truce to strengthen his state and ally with the Christian princes. When he found himself ready, he raided the lands of Yen, Bayez, and parts of Mercia. King Muhammad al-Nasir, who succeeded his father al-Mansur in Africa, was forced to head to Andalusia to invade Castile. He crossed the sea with his army and went to Seville to organize the army. From there, he headed to the castle of Saltabra, one of the castles of the Kingdom of Castile, and seized it after an 8-month siege. However, Alfonso sought the help of Pope Innocent III in Rome to declare a crusade against Andalusia. The Spaniards gathered 124,553 fighters who set out to seize the fortress of Rabat, Alarc, and others. The Muslims gathered a similar army and the two armies met at the Castle of the Eagle, but the Almohads suffered a severe defeat at the hands of the Christians in the Battle of the Castle of the Eagle in 1212 AD. After this battle, the Muslims in Andalusia did not rise again, and after 1213 AD the state began to collapse quickly, and Andalusia fell into the hands of the Christians after 1228 AD, and in Africa Tunisia into the hands of the Hafsids. and the central Maghreb Algeria into the hands of Banu Abd al-Wad, the Zaynids, 1229 AD to 1236 AD. Between 1224 AD and 1236 AD, two branches ruled, one in the far Maghreb Morocco and the other in Andalusia. Since 1244 AD, they were exposed to the campaigns of the Marinids. Then they lost control of the far Maghreb, and their matter ended in 1269 AD after the Marinids finally eliminated them. Expansion. The first stage, the annexation of Tlemcen and Oran in central Morocco to the Almohad State, and this stage was completed in the year 539 1144 AD. Abd al-Mumin ibn Ali al-Kumi took over the affairs of the Qal after the death of al-Mahdi ibn Tumart on 13 Ramadan 524 AH, the 20th of August 1130 AD. After the defeat suffered by the Almohads in the Battle of al-Buhaira, and he was able to recruit new supporters, and continued to skirmish with the Almoravids without entering into decisive battles, and this situation continued until the year 534 1140 AD. When he prepared a large army, and left his base in Tinmol, heading towards the east and southeast of Morocco, to subjugate the tribes to his call for more than 7 consecutive years, and during that time Ali bin Yusuf, Sultan of the Almoravid state, died in 537 1142 AD and was succeeded by his son Tashfin. But he did not resist the Almohad army that was able to enter Tlemcen in 539 1144 AD, then Oran after besieging it and burning the gate of its fortress and killing the Almoravids who were in it. And Tashfin fell from his horse dead on 27 Ramadan 539 the 23rd of March 1145 AD when he tried to flee from the fortress. The second stage, the annexation of all the regions of Morocco, including Marrakesh, Fez and the rest of Morocco to the Strait of Gibraltar, which was done in the year 542 after Oran. The Almohads entered the city of Fez on the 14th of Dhu al-Qaeda in the year 540 corresponding to May 5, 1145 AD, after besieging it for 7 months, which ended with the surrender of its people and the entry of the Almohads into it. The Almohads entered the cities of Ceuta and Sale, then headed to Marrakesh and besieged it for more than 9 months. And Ishaq bin Ali bin Tashfin was the last of the Almoravid princes to seek refuge there, until they seized it on the 18th of Shawwal 541 corresponding to March 24, 1147 AD, and killed Ishaq bin Ali after taking him prisoner, and thus the Almoravid state fell, and a new state arose in its place under the Sultanate of Abd al-Mumin bin Ali al-Kumi. The third stage, this is the stage of conquering the rest of the countries of the central Maghreb, and it was completed with the entry of the Almohads into the city of Algiers in the year 548 AH 1153 AD Stage 4, Koutoubia Mosque. During this period, the Almohads extended their authority over Africa, including the eastern part of the Tripoli region in Libya, and regained Mahdia, the island of Jerba Tunisia, and the rest of the coasts of Africa from the Normans. This was in the year 555 to 1160 AD, which is called the Year of the Essence. Thus, the Almohads were the first to unify all of Morocco, with the exception of Barca and what followed it to the east to the borders of Egypt. The conditions of the Almohads improved after the end of their wars in Africa, and they were able to seize control of Morocco, architecture, the status of non-Muslims. A painting depicting the murder of Saint Daniel, who was killed during the Almohad era. The Almohads had taken over the Almoravid lands of Morocco and Andalusia by 1147. The Almohads rejected the prevailing Islamic doctrine of dhimma, the status of a non-Muslim in a Muslim country who was allowed to practice his religion on condition that he submit to Islamic rule and pay the jizya tax. The treatment of Jews under the Almohads changed radically. Before the Almohads ruled the Caliphate of Cordoba, Jewish culture had experienced a golden age. Yale University's Maria Rosa Menechau, a specialist in Iberian literature, has argued that tolerance was an inherent aspect of Andalusian society, and that Jewish subjects living under the Umayyad Caliphate, despite having fewer rights than Muslims, were still better off than in Christian Europe. Many Jews migrated to Andalusia, where they were not only tolerated but allowed to practice their faith openly. Christians also practiced their religion with relative freedom in the Caliphate of Cordoba, and Jews and Christians also lived in Morocco. The first Almohad leader, Abd al-Mumin, allowed an initial grace period of 7 months. Most of the dhimmi population of Morocco, both Jews and Christians, were then forced to convert to Islam. Those who converted had to wear distinctive clothing, as they were not considered loyal Muslims. According to many historians, the treatment of Christians in Andalusia and Morocco changed radically under the Almohads. Many Christians were killed, forced to convert to Islam, or forced to flee under threat of violence. Some Christians fled to the Christian kingdoms to the north and west and helped fuel the Reconquista. Many conversions to Islam were superficial. Maimonides urged Jews to choose superficial conversion to Islam rather than death and martyrdom, arguing that Muslims know very well that we do not mean what we say, and that what we say is only to escape the punishment of the ruler and to please him with this simple confession. Abraham ibn Ezra 1089–1164, who himself fled Almohad persecution, wrote works lamenting the destruction of many Jewish communities throughout Al-Andalus and Morocco under the Almohads. Many Jews fled Almohad-ruled areas for Christian lands, others, like Moses Maimonides, fled east to more tolerant Muslim lands. Some decided to stay to preserve their property, and many pretended to convert to Islam, while continuing their religious practices in secret. Mass martyrdoms of Jews who refused to convert were recorded. However, a few Jewish merchants were recorded as still operating in North Africa. Idris al-Mun, the Almohad Caliph who ruled parts of Morocco from 1229 to 1232, abandoned many of the practices of his Almohad predecessors, including the identification of Ibn Tumart as the Mahdi and the disenfranchisement of the Dhimmis. Jews were allowed to practice their religion openly in Marrakesh, and even the Christian church was allowed to operate there as part of his alliance with Castile. In the Iberian Peninsula, the Almohad state collapsed in the 13th century, and was succeeded by a series of Taifa kings who allowed Jews to practice their religion openly. On the other hand, some scholars, according to Marble Firo, believe that the forced conversions of Jews and Christians under the Almohads had little effect, while others believe that Muslims were also affected, as all those under Almohad rule were forced to follow their understanding of the religion. In addition, Jewish sources that speak of Almohad persecution are often vague, and it is not entirely clear whether the conversions were carried out under threat of death or exile, or simply with great encouragement. Almohad policy, al-Mun's reforms. The decisions taken by Caliph Idris al-Mun led to the undermining of the Almohad political system from its roots. The most prominent of these decisions was the end of the authority of the sheikhs, as the Caliph targeted the sheikhs of the people of monotheism, especially the sheikhs of Timul and Hantada, where he worked to eliminate them physically according to the fatwa of the judge of the community Abu Zayd al-Makadi on the issue of allegiance. Ibn Khaldun and Ibn Adhari mention that he killed about 100 sheikhs in the capital Marrakesh, and the owner of the embroidered clothes raises the number to 5,000 sheikhs. Al-Mun also prohibited the use of the name of the Mahdi, which is the call to prayer in the Amazigh language, in addition to deleting the name of the Mahdi from coins. In addition to implementing the terms of the agreement concluded between him and Ferdinand III, King of Castile, which stipulated the establishment of a Christian church in the capital Marrakesh, housing for the Christian military division, and guaranteeing freedom of movement and assembly for Christians residing within the Almohad domain.